How's it going, everybody? RyeSquad here today, and we are back with episode number 12 of your Calgary Flames franchise mode. We are ready to get started after a pretty eventful offseason. The episode was pretty long, so those of you that stuck around and watched it, I appreciate it. And those of you that are still here this far into the series, you guys are the real ones. You're the ones I'm doing this for. You guys are awesome. And those of you that are just catching up, welcome along. I'm sure we're having a lot of fun in the future too. So today, guys, we're going to get up to about, I think, January 1st, because that's when we can really look at extending Spencer Knight. We'll look at other extensions then too. But January 1st is where I'd like to get to, maybe January 3rd, depending on setting up the scouts and everything like that. But I think half the season will be a good litmus test for this team to see, do we need to go out and sell some assets to go get a bona fide number one defenseman? Now, the lines look great. I'm very, very happy with how they look. The nice part is that if Lekaramaki is not looking good for the first month or so, I think I'll give him the first month, right? That'll give us almost 10 games. He'll get like a 9-game tryout up there, right? If he's at like a -13 or something ridiculous, we'll definitely bump him down, and we still get a +4, so we could put Mangiapane, I believe, on that line, and it would be awesome, right? And then Zari, Peterka, and Lekaramaki would be great. But the top line getting a +5 is awesome. Really love that. Love the fact that Huberdeau and Lindholm can be paired with just about anybody as well. The top line is the top line. And then our defense is probably the weakest part of the team. But I'm happy with Lucas Cormier. I'm hoping that Luke Hughes develops a little bit, right? I think a good season from him, a better season for the team offensively, and all around should be better. Hopefully Spencer Knight bounces back. I mean, we remember last season he was at a 4-point something at some point. So he did definitely turn it around, but his worst season so far, I'm hoping that it does bounce back, because it's going to be an awkward conversation about that contract extension if he's got another 4.0 goal against average here. But I have to set up the scouts. Our owner is unhappy. The fans are at 68. Not great. Locker room chemistry at 63. So I think we definitely want to string some wins together. I think as far as the leaders, I believe Dmitry Zykov was listed as, or somebody was listed as a leader. I can't remember who exactly was listed as a leader, but I'm kind of okay with these lines. Maybe strip Mangiapane of an A. Let's take a look at morale, because somebody was a leader that I was considering giving the captaincy to, or at least a letter to. So Lekaramaki is a presence, but that's not what we want. Dmitry Zykov is a leader, right? So if he's a leader, we're definitely going to want to give him a letter. I think the locker room would like that, and I think it's what we should do. So we'll probably take it. Huberdeau as captain is fine. Lindholm as the alternate is fine. But I think I'm going to take it away from Mangiapane, and I am going to give it to Dmitry Zykov. I think that's probably what we want to do. I mean, I guess I could give Huberdeau an A, but Zykov basically got here halfway through last season. I think giving him a letter now is probably fine. Huberdeau and Lindholm, I feel like, are the guys that earned it. Maybe having a guy like Noah Hannafin could be good, but we'll see. Did any changes happen after we made that change? He's updated the owner goals. Okay, interesting. We are now a buyer, and we are a Stanley Cup contender. He's still starting out pretty unhappy, but he wants us to earn profit, wants to win on the road, concession, and upgrade the seating. That's fine. That's all doable. And no morale changes for changing the captaincy, so that's good. Very happy with that one, actually. That we didn't piss off Mangiapane, because he's going to be a big part of that third line, which I think is going to be very good. So the forwards are good. The defense, I think we can get by, and especially because we have an elite goaltender who needs to play like an elite goaltender if we're going to go anywhere this season. But I'm going to set up the scouts so we can get the simulation underway. All right, so I've gotten us up to the start of the season. I did the waiver. Holy cow, the fans are very happy. They're starting the season very, very optimistic. You guys probably can't see it. I'm in front of it. 95 fan happiness right now. Locker room chemistry up to a 66. The owner is still unhappy and has changed our status back to a seller. Really disagree with that. Not sure why we are considered a seller. I mean, I think we are a very good team, but ultimately, this team, I think, is primed to, especially in the division, probably win a divisional spot, and pretty comfortably. Compared to last year, where we made the playoffs, we weren't really that good, but we really did round into form, and I'm hoping the new coach and everything will get that done. So at some point, we're going to sign a couple of free agents for the AHL. They're going to pop in. I'm going to just advance the day a couple times. Hopefully we win this game against Seattle. It's the home opener. Hoffer. Yep, there they are. So they decided to join a little bit late. And we did lose 3-1 to Seattle in the opener of the season, which is a bit of a bummer, but it is what it. Oh my God, why are we starting on the road so much? There's like 4 straight road games. Let's see. We started at Seattle. Oh my God, we don't play our home opener until the 6th game of the season. That's kind of wild. Anyway, I'm gonna set up the AHL lines and we'll get back in do the sim in just a second. All right, so that was not that long for you guys. For me, it took a minute, but we are now ready to jump in and get the simulation underway. So we've got about a month here to see how Lekkerimaki does, right? We've got 5, 6, 7, 8 games. I know I said 9, but we'll get up through the Winnipeg game and really see how we do with him on the second line. I'm not going to bench him, obviously. Whoa, okay, Edmonton. You wouldn't give me Bouchard. I'm not giving you Hanifin. How's that sound? 4-3 loss there to the Arizona Coyotes. We do finally bounce back with 3 straight wins, rounding out the road trip. And Mangiapane wants to speak about his ice time. Persuading would give me a 50-50 chance. I'm going to try and persuade him, right? We'll see, but he could get upset and we might have to give him more ice time. Oh man, I wish I could like hold. Can I check my phone real quick so I can check up Lekkeramaki's stats? Because if he's killing it, great. If not, then I'm going to try the persuade, though. He's going to be a team player. We love to see that. Mangiapane was a guy that I planned on trading, like, immediately. I don't know. For some reason, I thought he was going to be a troublemaker in the locker room or something. But no, it seems like he is doing just fine and playing his role very, very well. As after the first 2 games that we lost to open the season, we go on a 5-game winning streak. And then we do round out the 8th game there with a loss. Huberdeau has 10 points. That second line, ooh, I'm very excited about this. Ooh, the top line doesn't look as good, but the second line, Lekkerimaki is a +3. He's got 4 points. I mean, how much of that is Lindholm and Huberdeau carrying? Lekkerimaki is not, I mean, he's shooting well, right? Holy cow. Zykov has 44 shots. Maybe the top line, maybe Andrei Kuzmenko needs to be, maybe flip-flop Lekkerimaki and Kuzmenko. Is that crazy to put Lekkerimaki on the top line? Probably very crazy. I could put Mangiapane on the top line. But I'm looking at the shooters, right? Mangiapane seems to be the shooter on the third line. Tage Thompson's not shooting nearly as much because probably Dmitry Zykov is taking most of those shot attempts. Lindholm is shooting, same thing with Lekkerimaki and then Huberdeau. So those guys seem to be fine. Huberdeau's got an 18.8% shooting percentage. I don't think that's sustainable for him. I wonder what would it be if I did something like that. We get a +5 on the second line, but a +2 on the top line, and then a +1 there. So you know what? I guess maybe moving Mangiapane up. Lekkerimaki, I mean, he was good. But, you know, I mean, Peterka's got 7 points. Zari's only got 3. How's the fourth line doing? Coronado does have his first NHL goal, but they are a little bit of a minus. That's okay. Defensively, I didn't check this out too much. These guys are fine down here. It's the third pairing isn't killing it, but, you know, it is what it is. I think we are going to move Lekkerimaki down. I don't know. He's listed as a depth forward, right? Playing him on the second line might be a lot. He is doing well, though. What is the... oh, my God. So many giveaways to takeaways. That's probably not helping. So we are going to move Mangiapane up because he asked for it, too. And I think it's something that we want to keep him happy, right? If his overall starts to plummet, then we're kind of in trouble. Lekkerimaki on the second line was working. Obviously, Huberdeau and Lindholm are also doing well, right? They're not being dragged down by him, but I think we might get even better results if we put Mangiapane there, because he's a shooter more so than Lekkerimaki was. Just about the same, but I think they're now in the proper roles for themselves. So we'll get up through the end of November. I've got to assign the scouts, and then, you know, we'll see. But I'm optimistic now with these changes. A 6-5 overtime win, and Luke Hughes is loving life. Against the Sharks, a 7-3 win. We're getting morale. Morale is going up. We love to see that. A confident team is what we want to see. So far, so good here in the month of November. So many trade offers. Oh, my God. Jeez. I don't know what... Huberdeau should not be on the... No, none of these guys should be on the trade block. What are you doing? Oh, my God. Literally none of those guys should be on the trade block. It should straight up be like all futures. I'm like... Jesus, now it's sorted by trade value. Oh my God. Oh Jesus, this is brutal. What did you do here? I guess goalies, I will put Dansk on the block because we want to move on from him. And then defensemen, do we have anybody there? I don't know. honestly, at this point, I don't really want to put anybody. I want to leave my block like this. Nobody's really on the trade block, but multiple morale changes for being taken off the block too. Holy cow. Nashville stops my mojo. But so far in this month of November has been really good for us. A 5-2 win there against the Islanders. Jerry Corso is gaining morale because of ice time. So a couple losses down the stretch here, right? We are 1-3-1 over our last 5, but we're coming back down to earth. But that makes sense. We were so scorching hot. Dmitry Zykov with 27 points, 16 goals in 21 games. He's on that Austin Matthews type beat right now. 28 points in 21 games. That's good enough for best in the West. It is good enough for, I think, like 5th in the league. The Devils are at 35. The Leafs and Bruins then at 30. The Blue Jackets at 28. So we're either 4th or 5th. I'm not sure. But so far, so good this season. Let's take a look at the team stats. How is the team doing as a whole? We'll take a look at Spencer Knight in just a minute. But 3.86 goals for per game. That's good enough for best in the division. The goals against per game at 3.1. That needs to improve. Now, we are an offensive team. We try to outscore our troubles. Our power play is at 28%, which is phenomenal. The penalty kill is horrible. So it's probably due to our coaching, but I focused on getting offensive coaches. I feel like if our players put up points, they get the statistical growth, and then bang, you're great, right? But for now, I'm happy with the way the team is performing. I really can't complain. We've got Zykov, Thompson, and Kuzmenko all with over a point per game. Lindholm over a point per game. Huberdeau over a point per game. Mangiapane with 16 in 21 and is a +4 as well. Peterka a -4. Dursey actually, okay, so we'll stick with forwards for now. So it looks like the third line is not great. The bottom 6 is kind of getting left behind in a sense that they're not exactly feeding off of this top energy, right? Lekaramaki has really plummeted being on the third line. Now he's still shooting a good percentage, still has 2 game-winning goals. He hasn't given the puck away much at all in the month, only 6 times, and taken it away plenty more. 5 goals, though, in 20 games. I think he had, 2? Maybe 3? I can't remember exactly how many he had, but maybe I want to flip-flop those guys back. Mangiapane is having a great season, though. He's got some power play ice time. He's got 15 minutes a night. Giveaway to takeaway ratio is really, really good. So maybe I'll flip-flop those guys back. But taking a look at the blue line, the only negative here is Lucas Cormier, which I don't really like to see that because I thought he could be very, very good for the future. Luke Hughes with only 5 points as well. That is upsetting. I mean, his puck skills are terrible. Like, the dude can't puck handle for crap compared to the rest of his overall. 87 offensive awareness. He's a defensive defenseman, which I guess is fine, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm paying him to put up points, and he's just straight up not doing that. Sean Dursey's got 9. Mason Jackson's got 6, but he's a +9 with Noah Hannafin. Those 2 guys are doing very, very well. And then Nick Jensen with 5 points. I'm actually very happy with the signing. He's a defenseman that I looked at, and I'm like, he can definitely do a job offensively. And that's what and I don't know if you guys remember in the last one talking about a defenseman who, if they can't put up points, they're kind of just an anchor. But now the big moment of truth. Spencer Knight is a little bit better. I mean, 905, 303 is fine, but certainly, I mean, I'd like to see him do better. If I'm going to pay him $7 million a year, I could probably find an 83 overall goalie that cost me $2.5 million to put up those similar stats. So really, maybe we do get rid of Spencer Knight, but that's not what we want to do right now. The locker room chem is finally up above 70. It's now in 72. The owner is neutral. And the fans have gotten upset. I don't know why I don't know what kind of expectations you Calgary Flames fans had for this team that I could lose 7 points of happiness and yet be top of the West. But so be it. It's the environment I live in, and I'll deal with it. But I have to assign the scouts, and I think I'm going to give it another month of Lekaramaki on the second line with Mangiapane on the third line. All right, so now that the scouts are done, we can go ahead and put Lekaramaki back up on that second line, because I'm thinking it's probably for the better, because the third line seems to have taken a step back. We were still doing fine in the first month. I gave it the first month, I flipped it, and then we took off. Was that a product of me flipping it? We're about to find out, because I'm going to give it the rest of the month here. But I do think it's better for the team as a whole. The middle 6 is more balanced this way too. I mean, The third line is good regardless, right? Zari and Peterka are both basically second liners that I've got on the third line, and the Mangiapane being on the third line just makes it ridiculous. But like Ramaki down there, I mean, it's a pretty standard third line, but now we've got a dominant third line and a great second line with, they're carrying a youngster. So, all right, we got how many games? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 games. So I guess we'll go 10 games. 10 game sample size is pretty good for that change there to see how it takes effect. And we lose the first game with the change, but we do bounce back with a win there against Ottawa, losing to San Jose. Mangiapane in trade talks. Tell me they put him back on the trade block. No, they did not. Elias Lindholm, though, is happy because of his ice time. We've lost 3 of 4. Here, Spencer Knight, yeah, you suck, buddy. He's gained morale because of ice time, though. And okay, we need to stop. We need to stop. Stop. Oh my God, we've completely tanked. Tage Thompson now leads the team in points. That's great. But I absolutely need to flip-flop Lekaramaki back. Is he still a mass? Oh my God, he's even worse now. Okay, we're going back to this. We're going back to that. There we go, boys. Let's get it back. I guess I could put Peterka up there too, but Mangiapane, we saw him do well on that second line. I'm wondering if Peterka being younger too, or him or Zari. Zari's a great third line center though. Peterka, how many years does he have left of growth? He's 24. He still's got time to grow. He does look really good. You compare him with Mangiapane. Mangiapane is also very, very good. I think his defensive category is actually, we got 85 and 86. 86 and 85. Shot blocking is a little bit better. Peterka's got 89s in his puck skills. Mangiapane's got 88s and a 90, or an 80. Okay, 88, 90. Peterka has 89, 89, 88 offensive awareness. Mangiapane's got 87 offensive awareness, but he's got the 89 in the shot. Peterka's shot isn't nearly as good. What this line needs is a goal scorer, right? It's not Huberdeau. It's not Lindholm. It's Mangiapane. So putting him back on that second line, we absolutely need to do it. We just went on a very detrimental losing streak, and we now find ourselves on the outside looking in. It was very tight. I guess I didn't look at how tight the West was, but we have a couple games left, 2, 4, 6 left here to get up to January 1st against Vegas after these line changes. 1-0 shutout victory. 5-2 win, updated based on our current status. We're now back to a buyer. That's cool. He's going to flip-flop, and there we go. 4 straight wins after making those changes. We pick up an overtime loss, and we beat Edmonton, getting into the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. We are 19-12-3, back into a wild card spot. Hopefully that 5-game stretch doesn't hurt us too much. Oh my goodness, Dmitry Zykov, you are a god. Dmitry Zykov, let's just see, 24 goals in 34 games, is about 0.7 goals per game, multiplied by 82. He's on pace for 57, so not quite Austin Matthews level, right? But he's still young and he's still going to grow. So man, this is looking good. We are now 5 points off of the Canucks. Beating the Oilers was huge. We got another date with them up on the 4th. Let's get to the halfway mark of the season, then we'll really take a look. So that's about 7 games more. We'll get to the halfway point and then take a look. So we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll get up here to the 14th and really just assess the team at the midway mark. So 2 straight wins. We beat Edmonton. They do get a point off of us, but that's okay because we keep our winning streak going. And as I say that, we lose to Boston. But man, guys, Mangiapane's got to stay on that second line. There's no doubt in my mind that Mangiapane on the second line is what we need. It now makes us an awesome team. We are at 53 points. Dmitry Zykov's on pace for 100, as well as being on pace for 56 goals. But 53 points, we should be good enough for the best spot in the West, I believe. Let's take a look at the Western Conference here. Yes, we are the top team in the West. Vancouver does have 2 in hand. This is going to be fun. Down the stretch, this is going to be a fun back and forth. As far as points percentage, we are in 2nd, so that is fine. Goals for per game, best in the West. Goals against per game, down at 3, which is 3rd best in the West. So Spencer Knight has started to turn his play around. Power play percentage is the best in the West. And then penalty kill percentage is the 3rd worst in the West. So the penalty kill, I knew the penalty kill was going to suffer, guys. I just knew it, right? I was not worried about the penalty kill. I'm like, as long as team defense is good at 5-on-5, and the offense is there in all situations, I was going to be okay with that. So I strategically did not care about the penalty kill rating from our coaches. And, honestly, I think we're doing just fine. This is the best season that we've had by far. So now, at the halfway point, we can just multiply everything by 2. So quick mental math tells me 100 points for Zykov, 96 for Tage Thompson, and 90 for Kuzmenko. Tage Thompson also on pace for 36 goals, so not quite the blistering pace we saw last year when he had 31 and 24. Actually, 31 and 20. Yeah, that's definitely better, I think, than actually 7 more points than games played, which is great. But 31 and 24 is 1.29 points per game. 48 and 41 is 1.17. So about 0.1 points per game. It's really not much of a difference. He's still on a fantastic pace for us. What is the goal scoring like, though? He's definitely not as hot goal scoring, but he's also now got Zykov on his line, and Zykov is a shooter. Zykov is absolutely a shooter, and that's most likely where the goals are being sucked away from Tage Thompson. Zykov is the one shooting the majority of the time. Let's take a look. How much does Zykov shoot in comparison with the league? Third most shots in the league, right? But we found ourselves that dude, right? You look for the Ovechkins, you look for the Matthews and their shooting tendencies, right? And those guys probably don't have other shooters on their line. Maybe moving Tage Thompson down and Lindholm up. I don't know. I don't want to overthink it. We're doing so well. I don't really think we need to make any line changes. But as far as the rest of the team goes, let's take a look. We've got Huberdeau, Lindholm, Mangiapane. That's a bona fide second line, right? Mangiapane not looking great points-wise, but 17 goals is exactly what I was hoping he would do. That's pretty much what he does. That's the type of dude he is, right? On pace for another 30-goal season. Maybe hits 35 now with how well that second line is gelling in the offensive scheme. The third line looks pretty tough. Zari, Lekaramaki, and Peterka. That line, it's not great. Peterka's on pace for 44, which is probably where he's going to settle as a player for us. On the third line, for him to get anywhere between 40 and 50 every season, I think it justifies his contract. He is currently making, 4.25, right? On the third line, he's fine there. Lekaramaki, listen, it's his rookie season. He's not doing great. He's not doing poorly. He's still shooting 11.8%. The minus 14 hurts, but we knew that he didn't have the greatest defensive category, right? We knew that defensive awareness at 80 was going to hurt. And then we were hoping that guys like Connor Zary, who doesn't have a great defensive category, Peterka, has probably the best defensive category, but he's also probably the best player on this line. Connor Zary has 1 goal this season. He's a two-way forward who's more of a playmaker than anything. He's a playmaker who can score, and I guess he's good at poke checking, right? Good face-off guy, too. So his I'm sleeping on his defensive category, but I think it's fine. That could be a spot to upgrade. Ruzicka here, obviously, is a great bottom 6 forward for us. 13 points and a +2. Coronado and Peltier both are doing fine, right? -1, it's not the end of the world. It's just that third line. I really think that we could benefit from finding a defensive minded winger to play with Peterka and Zary. Maybe that comes at the expense of Coronado or Lekaramaki. Coronado here, listen, I just don't think he's ever going to be it, right? He's got that great passing, but as a sniper, the shooting category is not there. He's shooting enough, right? But 10.6% isn't fantastic. It's being outplayed by Ruzicka. Fewer shots, same amount of goals, but really what I'm worried about is I don't think I'm ever going to find a spot for Matt Coronado at 24 to play in the top 6 or even the middle 6, right? I think Lekaramaki is by far and away the better player and more well-rounded. So I think if we were to do something, I would probably move a guy like Matt Coronado and find a third line 83-ish overall who's just great defensively, like a shutdown dude, to play on the wing with Peterka and Zary. Moving Lekaramaki down to the fourth line. He's not going to get upset about ice time down there. I just think it's too much too soon for him. I mean, he's on pace for about 20 goals. I'd say he'll finish the season with 15 if I do make the moves that I'm intending to make. So let me know what you guys think about that, right? Move on from Matt Coronado. I mean, I guess I could send him down until there is time, but he's 24. He is listed as a depth forward. I don't know. I feel like he's expendable. He's got another year at 800,000, right? So sending him down is not the end of the world, but he may have to clear waivers, which at that point I might say I'll just trade him. He's got good value for some veteran 30-plus-year-old dude who can really lead that third line and play some shutdown, maybe some penalty kill minutes, right? Find that defensive forward, not exactly two-way, but defensive forward. So that's my plan, I think, going into it now. So Looking at the defense, speaking of defense, points-wise, Mason Jackson is not that dude, but he's now an 86. He's doing well. Defensively, he's there. If he can get a little bit better in his puck skills and senses, I think we got an absolute worldie. He's only 20 as well, but at 86, it's great. Noah Hannafin at 85, so he's officially our best defenseman now. Yep, and he's a plus 18, so not taking penalties. This is a future star right here. Like, we have somebody here that is just going to be an absolute monster, right? Sean Dursey doing well as well, so I'm glad I brought him back. I think, I'd hate to say it, but I think Luke Hughes' time is done for me. He's on pace for 22 points, which is fine, but he's, as an offensive defenseman, I'd expect him to be better offensively than this, right? Even Lucas Cormier, right? Lucas Cormier is a better offensive defenseman than Luke Hughes. Despite Luke Hughes having the better defensive stats, I would say that Lucas Cormier is a better offensive defenseman than Luke Hughes. And that's kind of crazy to say because Luke Hughes is low elite, but I think maybe if I have to move on from somebody, Luke Hughes could be good, but at the same time, I don't want to mess with the chemistry, and I don't want to give up a guy who is 23, low elite, 3 years, and just, I don't know. He's everything screams he's not it. Maybe you guys can convince me otherwise. Maybe that moving him now would be a mistake because of chemistry and we just need to ride it out and move him in the offseason when we're not worried about anything. But if we can package him with a pick and get an upgrade to another 85 or something like that, 86, 87, maybe somebody to actually pair with Mason Jackson and show him the ropes. I mean, that's kind of what Noah Hannafin is at 29. But again, another elite defenseman, right? See if they are out there, right? If we can get them. Like an Evan Bouchard would be come to mind again. I don't think we're going to get him, and not him specifically, but just that type of player who's like an 86, maybe an 87 that fits our scheme, is a two-way defenseman, and even a defensive defenseman. Probably want two-way defenseman. Just because it's tough. I think I'd like to hang on to Cormier. How much? He's got one more year, $1 million. Maybe Luke Hughes needs to play on the third defensive pairing, and we find somebody to replace him, and then we move on from Lucas Cormier. Cormier, and then, yeah, I mean, Hughes doesn't really fit the scheme either. It's tough with the new coach, but I think I've given him 41 games. Him and Matt Coronado are probably the closest to being traded out of anybody on the roster right now. Speaking of traded, Spencer Knight's got a 902 and a 318. That is not what I would be paying elite goaltending money for. I feel like I could use his value to go out and get an 82 overall goaltender, and I'd get this, or 84 even, right? I thought he might be the difference. Maybe he will be in the playoffs, right? You never know. And that's what I'm worried about, is moving on from him, but in the playoffs, you know, when it matters the most, the lights shine the brightest. Potentially, oh, look at that. Okay, so we do have an option to sign him for 4 more years at about $7 million. I think maybe 3 years at 6.5 is probably best. Probably get him down to 6.25, but I'm in this 3 to 4 year range, maybe 5 if I can get him. 5 by 7 could be nice. But again, $7 million for a guy who's got a GAA of 318. It's not good. It's not what you want. Again, could be paying him for the playoffs, right? Because I've had issues where my 84 overall goaltender is good enough to get, I mean, we're good enough to be the best team in the West. And we are in, what is that? 1, 2, 3. There's only 3 teams better than us in the league right now. I think he's good enough to stay, and I think he could be an X factor, excuse the pun, with all the X factor abilities in the playoffs, right? That could be the difference maker. Okay, so Florida is actually doing really well. They just haven't played a lot of games. We're the 6th best team in the league right now, and I think defensively we can still improve. And if we get better defenders, couple that with the potential of Spencer Knight being an X factor in the playoffs, I think moving on from Luke Hughes and Coronado would make sense to get more defensive-minded players, right? The offensive-minded guys are there, right? Our defensemen, we don't really have an elite offensive defenseman. That's what I was hoping Luke Hughes could become. But again, you guys saw it. He doesn't have a good offensive category. So if we could maybe flip him for another offensive defenseman, a top-line offensive defenseman, somebody that could be in the Norris conversation with Cale Makar, maybe when Cale Makar has a down year or something. I don't know. But that's my thoughts, is to upgrade defense, move on from Luke Hughes, and move on from Coronado to find a third-line defensive forward. I think I do plan on extending Spencer Knight as well. Those are my thoughts for now. But that's all the time I have for this one. I am going to deliver a managed democracy throughout the galaxy here. So that's all the time I have. So Let me know your thoughts down in the comments about what I just laid out for the plan here. But make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see some more. And I will see you guys in the next one.
It's a free for all, free for all.